Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I wanted to take a look at an album by Squeeze, and I thought that I would review Cool for Cats here, their second album. So I'll just be doing the usual thing in this video, giving a bit of background information about the album, then show you my vinyl copy of it here, and then look at each of the album songs in detail. So as I said, this was the band's second album, released on the 9th of April in 1979. Now this came after a rather difficult first album for the band, which was produced by John Cale of the Velvet Underground, who very much pushed the band around and tried to sort of make them into something they weren't. They couldn't really be themselves on that first album. However, for this release, they worked with a guy called John Wood, who was a engineer on the first album, so they already had a working relationship with him. And also notably, this was the last album recorded with the original bassist, Harry Kakuli, I think that's how you say his name. Now, commercially, this album did fare a bit better than the first album. However, it still only reached number 45 on the charts, but spent 12 weeks on the chart. So it did have quite a bit of staying power. Plus, the singles from the album, most of them done quite well, including two number 2 hit singles. So I'll just show you my vinyl copy of it here. You can get a variety of different colours for the cover. I've seen yellow ones. I've seen I'm sure a green one, and maybe a blue one as well. I'm not sure. But this is probably the most common one, the purple one there. Then got a picture of the band on the back, and then the chart listing. There's nothing fancy on the inside to it at all. Just a plain sleeve, and it's on the usual A&M records there. So yeah, that's the vinyl record looked at. Okay, so I'll now go over each of the album songs. So I'll score each track out of 10, and then use those scores to give us a overall percentage marking for the album. So things kick off with a track called Theyre Slappin Tickle, which is a more new wave style song with synths sort of forming the basis off the track. I mean, it's not a million miles away from their first single, Take Me, I'm Yours. And lyrically, it is a bit sort of cheeky, a little bit sleazy this one. Basically a song about sex, really. I mean, it features, musically it features the trademark Squeeze, the dual octave vocals of Difford and Tilbrook. Also notably, this is a slightly different mix from the single version. It has a slightly longer instrumental section, which I do think aids the track. It gives it more of an expansive sort of feeling to it. Now this was also one of the singles from the album, and it didn't fare too well. Only reached number 24 on the charts, but certainly when you consider other songs they released Pulling Muscles from a Shell, I don't think even got into the top 30. I mean this song did perform all right. Second track up is called Review, which is a really urgent, energetic, little rocker, this one here. I think lyrically it's about going to a seaside town. I think they went to Blackpool for a holiday to watch these sort of light entertainment shows which were called reviews. And I mean, the band performance on it is really good, really tight. I like the instrumental arrangement on it. I think Jules Holland's synthesizer work adds a lot to the track, and I think it could have potentially been a single had this album been had this album not had 4 other obvious choices for singles. So yeah, Review, overall I really do like that one. We'll give it an 8 out of 10. Next up is called Touching Me, Touching You, which is another kind of rocker, this one. Again, slightly sleazy lyrics on it. And I quite like the arrangement of it as well, where there's a bit in it where all the guitars sort of drop out, and then it becomes quite drum heavy. Again, the sort of the dual vocal of Difford and Tilbrook give the song quite a playful, quite a cheeky sort of flavour to it. But for me, the slightly questionable lyrics are a turn off on this song. So yeah, that one would get a 7 out of 10. But that's another story in the Next up is called It's Not Cricket, which is I would describe it as a Cockney knees up kind of song, this one here. It's sung by Chris Difford, this one, and lyrically it seems to be about a group of lads going to Bognor Regis for a holiday. I mean, it is a very catchy song, this, I will give it that. But there's a bit in it the wee solo, they sort of play with bells and that. For me, that kind of misses the mark. and it's not a song which really stands out much. But when it's on, it is quite pleasant, and I would give it a 7 out of 10 for that one.
It's so dirty when it's in the right mood. Give it some brandy and some Chinese food.
Next track up is called It's So Dirty, which is another kind of like rock and roll revival song this one here. Musically, it reminds me strongly of Elvis Costello and the Attractors, especially like in like Jools Holland's like organ work. Like really reminds me like a lot of like Steve Naive's like keyboard playing like with Elvis Costello. Again, slightly sleazy and I would say quite dated lyrics. Like he sort of sings like it's so dirty when it's in the right mood. Give some brandy and some Chinese food. And I mean, it is a half decent performance to it. Ends with a pretty good guitar solo, if slightly flashy by like Squeeze standards. It is an alright song this, and I would give it a 7 out of 10. And then we close off side 1 with a much more musically adventurous song called The Knack, which is, again, a new wave style track with a lot of different keyboard textures being used on it. This one is, again, sung by Difford, who delivers it in like his usual sort of deadpan style. Lyrically, from what I can hear, like in the song, I think it's about sort of crime gangs, like in London, like and someone sort of feeling threatened, like in like this setting. Like sort of like the chorus goes like, now I'm shaking because I ain't got the knack. And sort of like the verses, like sort of like detail like a encounter like with someone like carrying like a knife and that. I mean, musically, it's quite sort of like to the point kind of thing. I'd say it reminds me a bit of Bowie's song Repetition from his album Lodger, like kind of like just like in like sort of like the very flat way like Difford sings it like and like the very sort of like incessant like rhythm like off like the song. And yeah, I mean, I would give it like an 8 out of 10 for this one, kind of because they are trying something a little bit different, like they're pushing themselves a bit like as a band. Okay, then we flip over to side 2, which kicks off with a song called Hop, Skip and Jump, which is a kind of like a rockabilly style song, this one here. This is the Jools Holland lead vocal on the album, and I must say he doesn't have the greatest voice like in the world. Like it's no wonder like you don't really hear like him singing like too much like these days. I mean, like he basically can't really sing, like, so, like, be honest, like, with you. I mean, again, the song is quite catchy, just doesn't stand out for me much on the album. Like, yeah, it is one of the more average songs, and I would only be able to give it a 6 out of 10. It's not one I would really go to outside of the album.
I never thought it would happen with me and the girl from Clapham out on.
But then we get, for me, the highlight off the record, and possibly my favourite Squeeze song, which like they ever done, which is Up the Junction, which is a really great song. This it's very much like a narrative song. This kind of like about like a doomed like relationship, but delivered like in very relatable but very clever like rhyming couplets. I like how the song musically like is very uplifting, but lyrically like has some darker moments, especially like sort of like the last verse. Like again, it is a kind of like a slightly heartbreaking song, but musically it is very pop, like very like accessible, and also structurally like as well is very unique. The song lacks a chorus, but makes use of key changes like to keep the song like interesting, like and like moving along. And yeah, like as I said, like that linear structure like of like the song like really helps like the storytelling like come alive like in this one. And for me, is one of the classic songs like of the 70s. And like yeah, like no wonder like was like one of like their biggest singles, like reached number 2 on the charts. So yeah, Up the Junction, great song, an easy 10 out of 10 from me.
It gets harder and harder, so it gets harder and harder.
And then the next track up is called Hard to Find, which is another kind of like sexually driven song, this one here. Again, Difford sings it with a much more like rougher and harsher vocals like compared to like Glenn Tilbrook's vocals. Musically, like, it is quite good. You've got quite a catchy melody on it, quite a good arrangement on it. There's just really, for me, not much else to say like about this song. It kind of just like passes by like on the album a little bit.
Is it the cold that makes me shake? I just hope that I'm awake.
And then the next track up is another, I would say, hidden gem on the album. It's a song called Slightly Drunk, which is another key theme like of many of Squeeze's songs is drinking, and this is probably like one of the first songs like they wrote like which like deals with that. Tilbrook sings like on it like, I'm pretty sad, but so what? I should be glad, but I'm not. I'm confused once more. Kind of described as like the drunken phase and like then like the subsequent hangover. I mean, the musically is very pop driven, like very power pop, like this song. Strong beat, prominent and like really goodly arranged like backing vocals on it. So yeah, that one I would give an 8 out of 10 to.
Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl.
Okay, and then the next track up, which is the penultimate song on the album, is Goodbye Girl, which is a slightly strange place to put like a song like as strong as this, like in like so like the second to last place like on the album. Like that tends to be like the filler spot, but Squeeze like decided to put this one here, and I think this is a great song. It was another single from the album. Lyrically it tells the tale like of like heartbreak, like of like a girl like running away, like I'm like leaving like someone. This album version like is slightly different from the single version, like which like I like knew like many years like previous. Like it's got like sort of like it's slightly different lyrics like on it, and like I mean it takes a bit of like getting used to like this album version, like after knowing like the single version like from the 45s and under compilation like for like so long, and like yeah, I mean although it is a great song, commercially it was a bit of a disappointment. This it was the follow-up I think to Take Me I'm Yours, which was a top 20 hit I want to say. This one only reached number 63, which is a pretty criminal I have to say for such a wonderful well written song. So yeah, Goodbye Girl would get a 10 out of 10.
It says it's cool for cats, it's cool for cats.
And then the album finishes with the title track, Cool for Cats, which I have actually got the 12-inch single for it here. I must say, I probably would have preferred this like as like the album cover. I think this is a really cool cover, and like then like the pictures of them like on the back there. Yeah, I just think it like really works well. Like the design of this one. Now the song itself, you might be crying like out like why I'm only giving it like a 9 out of 10. For me, I've just never been a massive fan like of this song here. I mean, I can't deny like it's a very well written song. I mean, it is, yeah, it's quite daft and quite surreal lyrically, but it is well written. It's kind of like all encompassing like about like their like lives like at like the time. One thing I'm maybe not sure about on the song is the slightly messy like instrumental section. It kind of goes into like this sort of like dream stance like sort of thing, like when everything sort of like breaks down and like that. Quite far out like for like a single like at like the time, which did have quite a lot of success, this song, becoming like their joint like most successful single, also reaching number 2 on the charts, and would become Chris Difford's kind of like his like signature song, like I would say. Like it tends to be like in Squeeze concerts like the only song like which he'll sing on lead vocals like these days. So yeah, for me we'll get a 9 out of 10. I think this is on a coloured vinyl as well, which I'll just quickly show. I think it's a nice pink vinyl. Yeah, it is here. So yeah, that's the 12-inch there for Cool for Cats.
And then I'll take her home. I'm invited in for coffee.
Okay, so overall this album would score 80%. So I think this is a really good album. If slightly inconsistent, I think it is a real case of like the standout material being like the 4 really excellent singles. Those really hold the album together, I think. And I suppose again like a way like it's a transitional album for Squeeze, retaining the sort of like the kind of sleazy like rock and roll nature like off like the debut album, but kind of further refining like the melodies like kind of like songwriting style, which comes like ahead on like albums like Argy Bargy and East Side Story. It really fitted in like with like the time like where like so like very melodic, very clever like pop music could be very commercially successful like and like appealing, like, but yeah, like as I said, they would sort of like refine the art like on like the next 2 albums, which personally I think overall are stronger. Like if like maybe like I prefer some of the singles like on here, I think all round like later albums like are like slightly more consistent. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed my review of Cool for Cats by Squeeze. I would be interested to know what you think of the album down below in the comments, and I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.